Hey guys, so today we'll be checking out the Flowmaster American Thunder dual side exit exhaust system fitting all 2016 and newer Toyota Tacomas with the 3.5 liter. So if you're in the market to upgrade to a better looking, sounding, and performing exhaust system, this option by Flowmaster is going to be a great choice to take a look at. So as you guys heard from the sound clip, this is going to do a really good job at opening up that airflow, creating a more aggressive tone out of that 3.5. As far as sound goes, I'm going to give this a 3 out of 5 on the loudness meter, with 1 being completely stock and 5 being incredibly loud. Now this exhaust isn't going to be overbearing, but you definitely will be able to hear it, and that's why it's really going to sit in the middle. As far as interior cab noise goes, you're not really going to have a whole lot. You will be able to hear it from time to time when you step on the throttle, but you're not going to have a lot of drone at all. Perfect for the daily driver who still wants to hear their exhaust system from time to time. Now, not only are you getting sound and performance out of this system, you also are getting a quality build as well as a stylish look. You're upgrading from that single side exit to a dual side exit, and you are getting a clean looking polished tip on either side. With all of that being said, this is going to sit right in the middle of the road as far as price goes at roughly $650. Now, when compared to some other options on the page, there are going to be different designs of exhaust systems like single side exits or even middle exits in comparison to something that has a dual side exit like this. Now, other options that may be a little bit more expensive are usually going to have a higher grade stainless steel, like a 304 that's a little bit more rust resistant. And then on the other hand, less expensive choices are usually going to either be a different design or come with an aluminized steel instead of a stainless. Now, in my personal opinion, I think if you're a fan of the dual side exit, you're looking for something that is looking very clean, especially with that polished tip on the back, as well as sounds good for that 3.5 liter, then this is a great choice to take a look at. Now, as far as install goes, I'm going to give this a 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter. You will need a couple of basic hand tools and about 2 hours worth of your time. So speaking of that install, let's jump into that now. The tools that I used for my install were a dead blow, an impact wrench, a 14mm swivel socket, a 15mm and 10mm deep socket, a 10-inch extension, a 10mm and 14mm wrench, an exhaust hanger removal tool, and PB blaster. So our first step to this install is just to hit our isolators with a little bit of penetrating oil. That's going to help the hangers slide out of the isolators a little bit easier. Next, we can go ahead and take a 14mm socket. I'm going to be using a 14mm swivel socket in my impact wrench, and we're going to loosen up the 2 bolts up at the flange just so we have a little bit of extra movement to get the exhaust out of the isolator. So there are 2 bolts on either side. I'm going to use that 14mm swivel socket and just loosen those up. And then we can start removing the hangers from our isolators. What we can do now is start removing the hangers from our isolators. I'm going to use a exhaust hanger removal tool. These are very accessible. You could also use a pry bar if you do not have one of these. While you're doing this, I'd recommend to support the exhaust because it will start to droop. Then there will be an isolator up at the front of our muffler. I did end up supporting our exhaust with a pole jack just because it is all one piece. I'm just going to move this isolator over to the side, and then we can fully disconnect those 2 bolts up at the flange and remove our exhaust system. Then we can take that 14mm swivel socket and completely remove our exhaust flange bolts. Now be careful because at this time, once the bolt is out, the exhaust is going to be completely disconnected. That's why I have it supported by a pole jack right now. What I'm going to do is just lower this down and we can completely remove our exhaust system. So I'm just lowering it down so the over axle pipe just sits on the axle for a second while I can move the pole jack. And then we can wiggle our exhaust free. Just be careful of that wire. Before we hop into the install, I wanted to sit down and give you guys a comparison and tell you what benefits that you're going to receive out of this new Flowmaster system in comparison to the factory exhaust system. Now, this overall is going to be a big upgrade in construction, styling, and overall performance and sound. Now, starting off with the construction, this is going to be made of a 409 stainless steel material, which is going to be a lot more rust resistant to the factory lower grade steel material. Now, this is also going to come with the Flowmaster Super 50 muffler, which is going to get rid of a lot of that restriction that we saw with our baffled muffler from the factory, and it's going to free up a lot of airflow, helping you out with performance as well as sound, giving you a more aggressive tone out of your Tacoma. That's also going to be the help of the dual outlet system that we have in comparison to the single outlet from the factory. That's also going to increase airflow, and it's going to switch it up as far as styling goes and give you a more polished and a different look compared to our factory single outlet. Not to mention, this is going to come with everything that you need in order to install it on your Tacoma. This does come with all of the clamps as well as the new mounting hardware and even an extension pipe for the longer bed Toyota Tacomas. So with all of that being said, let's hop into that install. So our first step to installing our new exhaust system is to take our provided hanger with the provided bolt, lock washer, and nut, and we're going to install this on the driver's side right next to our spare tire. This is going to go through the hole in the frame, and this is going to hold our new isolator to hang the other side of our exhaust system. Before we completely tighten it up, we do want to take our provided isolator and slip that into place, just because we won't be able to with our spare tire here. But once that's mounted up, we can tighten up our bolt and the nut with a 14mm socket and wrench. So I'm using that same 14mm swivel socket that we used up at the front for the flange, as well as an extension just to clear a leaf spring here. What we can do next is install our flange pipe onto our muffler using our hanger clamp. We want to make sure that the hanger is facing the front of the Tacoma, and also that the bend is on the outside of the Tacoma, on the other side of our drive shaft, because this is going to push our muffler away from the drive shaft so it doesn't hit. So I'm just going to slip our clamp over our muffler here, and we can install the flange pipe. If you do have the long bed Toyota, you will need to install the extension pipe as well here. So what I'm going to do is just snug this clamp up a little bit with a 15mm socket, just so it's not excessively moving around. We still want to be able to move it around, we just don't want it flopping around. All right, so now we'll be able to rotate this, and we can head over to the truck. So again, I do have the pole jack here to support our muffler while we're mounting everything up, but we can slide the hanger into the factory isolator, and then with our pole jack here, we can support it and mount up our flange. So once our muffler is in place on the isolator and our flanges are lined up, we can take our factory bolts and thread those through. And we can snug those up with the 14mm swivel socket that we used to remove them. Now we can install our driver's side over axle pipe, making sure that the clamp is on the piping. So we want to make sure that this slides into the driver's side outlet and the hanger goes into the isolator right there. Now we can slide the clamp over our muffler outlet. And we still want to be able to manipulate this, but I am going to snug that up for the time being with that same 15mm deep socket. So then we can take the driver's side tailpipe and line that up with the over axle pipe. Slide that in, making sure that the clamp is installed. Then we can wiggle that into our new isolator. Next, we can install our passenger side over axle and tailpipe. I'm going to try to slip it in the isolator first, and then line it up with our muffler. So now that our driver's side and our passenger side over axle pipe is secured, we can start to tighten these clamps down. I'm using the same 15mm deep socket. Now we can move on back. Then we can tighten up the clamp, the over axle and tailpipe on the driver's side. Same 15mm socket. Last but not least, we can tighten up our clamp up at the front. This is for the muffler and flange pipe. Same 15mm socket. And then we can put on our tips. Once our exhaust is installed, we can install our tips last. So these are just gonna slide over our tailpipe here. So once that's on, you can tighten that up with a 10mm wrench and 10mm socket. And we can repeat that for the other side. So that's gonna wrap it up for my review and install. Make sure you like and subscribe, and for more videos and products like this, always keep it right here at ExtremeTerrain.com.